and welcome to our Global Industry Spotlight here on Thursday. Every Thursday, we talk with different organizations, entrepreneurs in the creative industries who are, building new things, creating new organizations, and really taking the creative sector into new places. We've had a great run of industry spotlights that you can check out on YouTube and Facebook. They're archived there. If you go to our website at cceglobal.org, click on events or click on archived content, you can see some of the previous conversations. So today, I'm excited to bring in our guest. She started Mezcla Media Collective, which we recently did an incredible event with this past Tuesday. Latinx women in film. It was a great networking event. We saw some amazing short films. She's built an organization that focuses on BIPOC women in filmmaking, and also is a documentarian herself. So let's bring in Colette and have a little conversation about her work and the things that she is doing. Hello, Colette.
Hello. Hey. Good to see y'all.
So thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. We really appreciated your partnership with our Club Creative event last week. You definitely have built a very important and cool organization that seems to support women in filmmaking. But before we get all into that, I would love for you to just give a little background about yourself, and kind of your journey as a filmmaker and documentarian.
For sure. Well, thank you for having me first. I'm super excited to have this conversation. So I started documentary filmmaking back in, it was sort of like the last year of my college years and my senior year. My father is actually a wedding videographer, so I was always around cameras, but never really knew that that was the path I wanted to take. I was very interested in children's television and educational nonprofits. And I interned at Nickelodeon for a summer, which was super fun, but it wasn't the right fit for me because I really wanted to do more social impact work. So I ended up studying abroad in Egypt. And while I was there, I got to work at the Cairo International Film Festival. And that was my first time really being surrounded by documentary filmmakers and watching all these incredible films that really talked about different social issues, highlighting real stories. And I was just blown away by the power these filmmakers had to really change perspectives, and then also to change lives and policies. So I started out by making my own first personal documentary back in 2014, was about street harassment in Cairo. It was called The People's Girls. And from there, I just was totally hooked. I learned the process of filming, editing, raising money, all of that kind of thing. And then I decided to come back to Chicago, and I started working on my first feature length film, which is still going on. I'm on year 5 now. It's called Traces of Home, and it follows the journey of me returning to both Mexico and Palestine with my parents to try to find their original homes, but then also realizing that this yearning to go back was not just because I felt a cultural disconnect growing up in the suburbs of the US, but really feeling like I had a disconnect to my parents themselves and not understanding that how their trauma affected our relationships growing up. So it really took a deeper dive into a more personal healing journey as well.
Yeah,
So that's
and that's incredible. I'm going to stop you right there because I have a couple questions.
Yes.
So take us. So before you went to Cairo in the summer, were you already familiar with the process of making films?
No, I
Okay.
was not.
Okay.
I studied communication studies, so I was very
Okay.
much in the world of more media theory, I guess. But as I mentioned, I did have cameras and editing around me all the time when I was
Right, because
growing
of your
up.
dad.
So I
Hmm.
sort of, I guess I was, because I was making fun videos with my friends, and also I did a project making a reality TV show in school, in high school. So
Awesome.
it was around me, but I didn't I didn't fully embrace it until after I graduated.
Okay,
Mhm.
so you go to Cairo, you see films that are creating social impact, and you want to
Mhm.
make this short film.
Mhm.
So what was the process behind that of or, making a film, right? Like, what were some of the
Totally.
things? It sounds like you already knew, okay, about equipment and editing, but what were some of the things
Mhm.
that you had to kind of learn,
Yeah.
to make it happen?
So I was a co-director. So my friend, she was a documentary photographer, and she was already doing a project like around this topic. And I knew that I was like, okay, maybe we could do something together with this theme. And I ended up going to Cairo, did not have any like job or money, I was just like freelancing,
Hmm.
teaching English, that kind of thing. And then we started looking up grant applications of like how to get money for this project. And one of the main things that you need to have for a grant application is a work sample. So we needed to make a trailer of street harassment in Cairo and like figuring out how to capture that. So what we did
Wow.
was we went and like used hidden cameras to film what it's like to walk as a woman in the streets of Cairo. And after looking at that footage, like we got home and looked at the footage and we're like, holy cow, like this is actually really intense and like, yeah, very compelling of like you just see everyone staring at you. So we just
Hmm.
put it on YouTube to like just put it out there and on Facebook, and it went viral. It got like 2
Oh,
million views, and then that
yeah, I
started.
read that.
Yes, it got a huge following, and then that created like the New York one that they did one in New York for what it's like to walk as a woman for 10 hours in
Right.
New York. Like it
Hmm.
just started a chain of these same videos. So like holy cow, like we need to embrace this. So we needed to like jump on it, and we decided to make a Kickstarter campaign. We like put it up in a week. Usually it takes like months to plan out your Kickstarter campaign, but we decided like we needed to use this like press and all of that was happening to have some sort of link to go to funding, and that's how we were able to get the funding for the entire project, which is like miraculous, which has never happened,
Right.
like it's very rare for
Right.
things to go viral, and to be able to get the funding that way. But thankfully that's how we were able to do it. We raised like 25,000, which was totally enough for like a half-hour film in
Right.
Egypt too.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about a successful work sample. You know,
Right. Yeah,
two
that was
two
a
million
dream.
two
It'll
two
never happen
million
again.
views and yeah. It's all downhill from here. uh it's funny how you can have successes, right, in your
Mhm,
work,
mhm.
um and you're like, is this going to happen again? Like, am I able to kind of continue this?
Right,
So that
right.
being said, a successful, short documentary, an important, obviously, subject matter,
Mhm.
and then transitioning into, you have a full length film that you're in post production with. Can you talk a little bit about
Yes.
that?
Yes. So as I mentioned, like I came back and I actually started working in the Kartemquin Films Diverse Voices and Docs Fellowship. That's where I really got to incubate this new film. And yeah, 5 years later, I'm now entering into post production, and my goal is to finish it by around this time next year. And definitely that learning process of making the first short film has helped me tremendously of like what to do and what not to do. And yeah, just like I've learned so much over the past 5 years of like grant writing and fundraising and stories and like hiring editors. It's just I feel like I've learned so much. And yeah, I'm just super grateful to be working on this very deeply personal film.
And in terms of fundraising,
Hmm.
do you have to do a couple of rounds while you're in the film? Like, how does the process work? Or is it okay, I need to fundraise for starting the project, and then I need to
Hmm.
fundraise for finishing the project? Is that how it works usually? I don't know. I'm not as
Uh-huh.
familiar with the film process, so.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so my first grant was actually through DCASE, the Department of Cultural Affairs through Chicago.
Mhm.
So I just like interviewed my parents and got a few photos and like just tried to put something together of like their background stories. And that was enough to get money to be able to go to go to Palestine. I also did like an in-person I really diversified my sources of income. I also did an in-person fundraiser for the Palestine trip, which was more like of a gala with like higher price tickets. That was really like a very big source of funding to be able to go to Palestine as well. And then after that, like editing a new sample, editing new trailers for grant applications, and then that's also when I did another Kickstarter campaign for the Mexico trip. And then with that money, being able to create a new sample to fund bigger grants and bigger foundation funding. As you start to show that you're getting money for it, then you can start getting the bigger and bigger grants. And thankfully, I was able to get Latino Public Broadcasting, which is like the PBS channel, to have a national broadcast for it. So that only happened because it was like slowly being able to fund each section. And now I'm like halfway funded. So the next piece is going to be making a rough cut and then getting funding to get to the final cut. So I'm
Right.
in like the
That
creating
is
rough cut stage.
that is quite the journey.
Yeah,
That you
it
could make
is.
a
It's really
you
intense.
could make a documentary about that in itself.
No,
You
it's
know, with
really
all the
intense.
different sources, a gala, Kickstarter.
Hmm.
It's quite
Yeah.
incredible. And then once the film is completed, how
Hmm.
do you decide how it's distributed? Do you have to work that out with, an
Yeah.
organization, or do you distribute it yourself, or how does that go?
Mhm.
Or do you submit it to a bunch of film festivals hoping that it will get picked up?
Yeah, I mean, the tough thing is that, like, of course, you want to have your community screenings and you want to have like a very robust. I really want to have a robust social impact campaign, but where all the major business deals are and like all the distributors are at these like top tier A-list festivals. So that is usually like
Mm,
the main goal, is to get to these festivals to be able to enter that marketplace, and get major sales with broadcast and streaming. So my dream for this film would be able to get a PBS POV national broadcast, because I feel like
yeah.
it fits very well with their mission and like their types of films that they distribute. So yeah, so that's like a very big piece. Self distribution is always an option if you have the capacity and time to do so, which I unfortunately do not. I am probably going to be a distributor to help me put that through too in
Right,
other
right.
channels.
Yeah, that's such a it's an interesting process, and one that, I'm
Mhm.
becoming more and more familiar with through working at the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. But the
Mhm.
amount of work that goes in of creating samples and then getting funding and having to build an entire film, and then at the end
Right.
hoping you can get picked up by one of the major film festivals to get
Mhm.
noticed, and to get, funded or distributed properly. It's incredible. Well, we wish you the best,
Right. Thank
of
you.
luck on
Thank
that, and
you. Thank you
we'll
too.
definitely be on the lookout. So, transitioning
Yeah.
out of your filmmaking into
Mhm.
Mezcla, can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about Mezcla, the beginning of that, and the
Mhm.
work that you're doing right now?
For sure. So, yeah, so I started Mezcla back in 2017 with another colleague of mine, Elena Valentine. We really created it out of seeing that there was no real community for women and non binary filmmakers of color in Chicago. And like a lot of times, it was very hard to find other women to collaborate with and to hire, and just like getting those opportunities and resources for our community. So we made an event at Cinespace, which was Stage 18 now, IFA, and just to like see who would show up. And over 70 women and non-binary filmmakers came to that gathering. That gathering was really like the catalyst for the collective, and we really like ideated and brainstormed what this could be and what our goals would be and what kind of programs we would have. And from there, since like, yeah, 4 years later, we are now at 700 members that are ranging from narrative, documentary, editors, sound, directors, literally anything behind the camera in film is in Mezcla. So it's been amazing to see like its impact on getting women hired and starting to make those collaborations and getting industry to take notice of their work as well.
And what do the members, I mean, is it the network that people are really attracted to? Is it working with other people? Is it
Hmm.
a supportive ecosystem that,
Hmm.
people can come into, and share their ideas? What can you expect as a member?
Yeah, I mean, definitely this is beyond just like a collective. It's definitely a tight-knit family that this has really become a backbone for each other, that people are going to like the Facebook group to find their next gig and to find advice and resources for their projects. I I honestly don't know what, even for me myself, I'm like, I don't know what I would have done without Mezcla, like it's unbelievable like how
Right.
much more connected we all are, that just did not exist before, yeah, before 2017. um and yeah, being
Did
able
you
to,
have that?
yeah. Mhm.
I'm sorry. Did you have that expectation that it would head in that direction? like it would become what it was. I mean, you have this initial event. It seems like
Mhm.
when you start initial things, they go well. Like you have the viral video, and then you're like, we
Oh,
have this
no, it's all
idea,
about
and
intention.
yeah,
Intention.
and yeah, it is, it's very true. It's yeah, but
Mhm,
it's also
mhm,
important. These are important
mhm.
works.
Yeah.
But did you once you saw the 70 people come, were you thinking, okay, this is exactly what we know now what this is going to be?
Oh, yeah, totally. And especially because we used that session as sort of like a design thinking ideation session of what this could be and like what our vision is collectively. That there was just like so much fire and energy to making this come to life. That was consistent too. Like it wasn't just one day and then it all just went to nothing. Like we made the Facebook group and then that's how everyone just started connecting. And then the biggest thing was like, okay, we have 4 events a year. That's all like in our little capacity, volunteer capacity that we do. As long as we have 4 things a year, as long as like we just can keep that up, then it will grow. That was the idea that we had. And having those 4 key events, we did it. Everyone would come out every time, and slowly it would just be continue to grow and grow and grow from there. So yeah, consistency and like making sure that we were just uh yeah, persistent with our efforts was essential.
Right.
Mhm.
And um, I I just have to say I'm like very impressed with the
Thank you.
organization and your own work, and also just the meaning
Thank
behind it.
you. Mhm.
And for someone that was a full-time musician for 15 years, I really understand the importance of community,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
also the importance of a diverse community that you
Mhm.
know that lends itself to different types of thinking and different life experiences, collective experiences. And with filmmaking, it's beautiful that you can share that together and
Mhm.
and put out some great work. So does Mezcla put out any films, or are they just kind of connecting people with like work outside of it? Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, we are not a production company, so it's
right.
definitely like an arts education, like film education and like community type of thing. So we can like support. We also have like funding that we actually have a documentary fund going on right now for feature length BIPOC filmmakers that are working on feature length films. But no, we do not create work ourselves.
Right.
Only
Okay.
about yes.
um, what are you excited about kind of for the future of your own career and for the future of Mezcla?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's definitely been a huge shift in the national industry, and like there's just a lot happening for specifically elevating BIPOC voices and underrepresented voices in general. So I really feel like we're this is very timely, and that if we are able to keep it up and keep up the momentum of like community organizing, that we can start to see representation in the national film industry and seeing our stories represented on screen. And then I mean, for Mezcla specifically, our vision in the next 10 years is to have chapters throughout the US for those filmmakers that are in Wyoming or Florida, that just don't have community to be able to have that like bond with other people to elevate their own work. And it's so vital. So yeah, that's the goal.
Well, Colette, thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
today to talk to
you.
us. We know you're super busy, but it's great to just hear a little bit of your story and the story of Mezcla. So look out for Colette's film, and please check out. I'll put below mezclamediacollective.org to learn more information about their organization. Um, so, Colette, thank you again for taking
Thank
the time to
you.
talk to us,
Mhm.
and we will definitely be in touch as your good partners and new partners, and we look forward to exploring different ways we can collaborate together. So, thanks a lot.
Yay, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. All right, bye-bye.
Bye. There you have it, everyone. Colette Ghunim from Mezcla Media Collective, a documentarian. I don't even know if that's a word, but a filmmaker who does documentaries. Um, and she is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and it seems to be building a lot of important things and taking filmmaking into new directions while supporting BIPOC women, non-binary um, people. So check her again out at Mezcla Media Collective. This has been a global industry spotlight. My name is Daniel Crane. I am the program director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. We are building resources, educational events for the creative industries. We are excited about the growth of the sector, connecting with people and networking to really improve the future of the creative sector. So again, we are wishing everyone a great rest of the week. Take care of yourselves. Let us know if you have any questions, and that's it for now. Take care.